Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And I apologize for this being late, but I had a brutal migraine all weekend from the weather fronts that were peeling through. This is freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Pitzhock. This is my contact information, standard YouTube copyright, and no, my content may not be used to train AI LLMs unless I'm appropriately compensated. Keys to the reading, because I do read astrology a little differently. Number one, I practice what is called constellation-based astrology, also known as true sidereal. To put that simply, it's astrology by the visible sky. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons back around 200 AD. And the constellations do move in the sky very slowly. That's how we get at our astrological ages. So I am telling you where the planets are in the sky in the actual constellations. And if for just for the record, tropical astrology is off by approximately 25 degrees right now. And if you're using the visible sky between Scorpio and Sagittarius, you will note there is another constellation called the Fucus. Symbol is of a person holding a snake by the head and the tail. A snake in ancient times symbolized knowledge. So when you've got it by the head and the tail, you're controlling or using knowledge. And the mythos is use that knowledge to learn how to heal himself so he could heal others. That's the ideal anyway. So it's the symbol of the wounded healer. And in the visible sky, I'm using the natural size of the constellations. Mother Nature, however you believe, created this the skyscape, the heavens above. It's been one of those days. Teenagers created the heavens above. The constellations are all different sizes. Virgo in all her glory is just under 50 degrees. Aries, Scorpio, Cancer, Libra, Fucus, individually, they're less than 25 degrees. The constellations are all different sizes, and I respect that. And also, I use astrological midpoints, as the IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn. So what happens here is how that happened is Athan Shimenti was zooming in and looking at the IAU boundaries, and he noticed that stars from Scorpio are actually shoved over into a Fucus. So what he did was he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of the Fucus. What's the halfway point? Keeps everything where it belongs, and he did that with all the constellations. Keys to the reading part 2. I interpret using evolutionary astrology. So this says that these transits are lessons to learn. Key point here is that you have freedom of choice. Just like a teacher teaching you in school, this is the lesson, you're going to learn it or not. Here's the test. You get to choose how you're going to handle it, whether you're going to shoot for high or you're just going to muddle through it. So you do have freedom of choice. Whatever you believe in is presenting you opportunities. You get to decide how you want to handle it. These are weekly. This is the weekly edition. So these are universal lessons for everybody. So do have some compassion on your fellow ground pounders, as some people are going to take these transits a little harder than others. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. That's manageable. If I went actually out by a wider amount, I would get overwhelmed. You'd be lost, to be honest. So a lot of astrologers that I talk to when they're doing these forecasts use 1 degree. I'll do the same thing. It makes it manageable. And the software that I'm using is Capricorn by Prometheus, which will be reissued, from my understanding, I believe through the ISAA. I don't know if they've said that out publicly yet, but I expect a reissue. And these are the weekly transits for the week of March 16th through the 22nd. We have the sun in Pisces right now. Yay, welcome. The moon starts in Capricorn and it ends in Taurus. And that sounds like a lot, but there's a long transit with the moon in Pisces. So a good chunk of the week, the moon will be in Pisces. And it really doesn't enter Taurus until Sunday, later on Sunday. And in Capricorn, it switches on Monday-ish. So there's that. The new moon this week is in Pisces, so it's focusing on inspiration. Let's see what else we have. Active inner planets for the week are going to be Mercury and the Sun, and Mercury first because it's got more transits than the Sun. So learning and communication will be a key focus, and then your core identity. We do have a long transit. These are the outer planets transiting each other, and these can go for a long time. And we have Saturn sextiling Pluto, so maturity and growth, creating an interest in transformation. That's just the Reader's Digest version of it. Mercury moves station direct this week, so that removes the last of our retrograde planets. Every planet at the end of this week will be moving forward in the sky. So we have no retrogrades after this week. Ouch. So let's take a look at our chart here. There's our week. And just we'll start with the moon here. And as you can see, Monday morning and early afternoon, we're in Capricorn. Then we go to Aquarius. Wednesday morning, put the Pisces sign over too early, but Wednesday morning, we're into Pisces. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday into Saturday morning. And then Saturday morning into Sunday. Later on Sunday, we're in Aries. So the moon is actually relatively steady this week. It sounded like it was a whole lot more, but it's the nature of the beast with the moon. And here we have that new moon in Pisces where the sun and the moon will be conjunct. It's really the moon transiting the sun. But that happens, and that happens late Wednesday evening. The sun will be set here in Western New York when that happens. So who will see that? Maybe the West Coast and beyond. So there's the moon, and then there's my doodle tool. And this dashed line here, or this dotted line, this dotted line tells us about the transits from last week. Really, it's just the nodes of the moon, which are pretty much always in opposition. No big deal there. But you can see right here, Mercury, Mercury, Mercury. So Mercury's working with the nodes of the moon. That's always interesting. That's your destiny and your purpose in life, and how you can advance it and hold yourself back from what you do, hold yourself back. And we do have Mercury moving station direct starting on Thursday, and it ends on Saturday. We do have two solar transits where the sun will be sextiling Uranus, that's individuality, and then the sun will also be conjunct Neptune, spotlight on your spirituality and being present. The only other transit that's of notice, and I was debating whether to put this or not, is Jupiter is being transited first by Venus and then by Mars. So these are transits. Jupiter teaches you self-confidence and opportunity. So there's that. Anything else I wanted to note here? Oh, yeah. We do have a super long transit with Mercury and the South Node because of that retrograde, and it's just the way it happens that it gets hit twice there. So we do have that long transit. We do have the long transit of Saturn and Uranus starting on Thursday. Thursday is going to be pretty intense day, honestly, because you do have that North Node. You do have the start of the Saturn and Pluto, and you do have the start of Mercury retrograde. And you're just getting over the new moon, and you got that nice moon in Pisces. So really, it's a slow start to the week, but then it just cascades into busier. I think there was something else I had written down in my notes, and it came to me in at work, and I wrote it down, and I actually accidentally left it on my desk at work. C'est la vie. So... but we'll go with this. Okay, so, I'm going to close this out. Notes. No. So we begin with the moon entering Capricorn. So you begin the week with the desire to get stuff done. Capricorn is the GSD sign, wants to roll up his sleeves and do work. So Monday morning, you might be motivated to put a little extra effort in, or what have you. But it's a time emotionally where you're ready to face difficult challenges, practice self-discipline, and just get stuff done and commit to what leads to success. The shadow here is becoming a bit of a control freak. And this can lead to loneliness and isolation because you're not controlling yourself, you're controlling others and trying to control outcomes. Doesn't work. And Monday, we have that long transit with Mercury retrograde in Aquarius opposite the South Node in Leo. So Mercury in Aquarius reflecting on, are you learning what interests you? Are you learning to speak your own truths? Are you paying attention to what your eyes and ears and your other senses are telling you? And reflection, the opposition here is a time of reflection. So and the question here is, how are you holding yourself back with pointless drama? How is pointless drama keeping you away from paying attention to what's going on in front of your face? That's the ideal. The shadow here is getting stuck in this rigid mindset. And that can be, the textbook says this and I believe it. These are, not questioning anything, do what you're told, or being that pointless, mindless rebel, just going for the most extreme thing you get your hands on just to provoke a reaction from people. And this is a bit of a power struggle because it's fueling the South Node in Leo, which is how you hold yourself back. And all that is just going to fuel pointless drama. And it's going to create more problems than what it's worth. So the struggles of the past, just reliving through a rigid mindset. And also on Monday, this is afternoon, evening-ish, the moon enters Aquarius, emotional independence, time to feel what you're really feeling. Pay attention to your feelings and let yourself feel them. I hate to say it, but as men, we're told, big boys don't cry. Yeah, we do. Ladies are supposed to act a certain way. You know what? Feel what you're really feeling. That's the lesson of the moon in Aquarius. Let go of the fake feelings. Be you. The shadow here is feeling what you're not, or behaving in a way that you're not, that's not true to you. I notes here also say avoid acting out for the sake of it or denying what you feel in order to please others. Getting a reaction or just going over the top because you can. Hey. Tuesday, Sun in Pisces, sextiling Uranus in Taurus. Nice 3-day transit. Hold on. My glasses back on. They've been slipping all day. Sun in Pisces, just learning to be aware of yourself, being present. And as you're becoming more aware of who you are. And I think a key here for me personally is know what your sun sign is. Because you're becoming more aware of what your natal sun sign is. I'm a Taurus. So I'm becoming more aware of what it means to be a Taurus and paying attention a bit more to that. Seeing and understanding that from a different perspective and from a higher perspective. And getting information that way, insights from that way. And that creates an interest in forming an honest self-image and finding the peace and strength that comes from being honest with yourself first and foremost. And as you understand yourself, it does bring peace and strength. I said that. The shadow here is collapsing into an illusion. Somebody else's expectations or a fake version, or the book says this. And this is how I'm supposed to be, so that's how I'm going to. And that fuels a fake version of yourself. And it can be rigid, and it's suppressing your authentic self, and it can come across as being rigid, stubborn, lazy. You're not being who you really are, and it's going to show in the worst way possible. And Venus in Pisces squaring Jupiter in Gemini. Venus in Pisces, spiritual relationships. We're finding inspiration from your relationships. Also, Venus covers the arts, so artistic inspiration. And squares are challenges. The challenge here is to strengthen yourself. And it's strengthening the opportunity to learn and the opportunity to communicate. So as your relationships are being, finding inspiration, finding hope in your relationships, it's giving you help, helping you to have the opportunity to learn, having you the opportunity to communicate as well. Gemini is about learning and communication. The shadow here is that Venus can be slick and manipulative, lazy, and also in Pisces, uninspiring, just going through the motions because he can, trying to hide away, deny reality, living a fantasy. And that square is now a stumbling block or a struggle, one that can't be overcome. And that fuels a crisis in confidence, whether it's overconfident or underconfident, in your ability to learn, your ability to communicate. So it's fueling a disaster. And it can leave you unfocused and distracted as you're trying to manipulate and control people and just too many irons in the fire, so to speak. It just creates a bigger mess. Now, what else did I have in my notes here? Yeah, being slick and manipulative or lazy in your efforts can come across as uninspiring or shallow and tumble into a crisis of confidence that leaves you unfocused or distracted. So, yeah. Wednesday morning, the moon enters Pisces. So emotional inspiration. You're finding something that just keeps you going for this week. Finding out about your true path in life, learning how to express it. Paying attention to the insights and what breakthroughs and advances it helps you to find. And this is from your higher self, I would say. The shadow is trying to escape and numb the pain of life. And result in a loss of vision, living some other purpose for no real reason. Wednesday afternoon, we have Mercury retrograde conjunct the North Node in Aquarius. So you're reflecting on what you're learning about your North Node, your purpose in life. So the key here, anytime you're dealing with the nodes of the moon, is, again, it helps to know where that is in your natal chart. I'll use myself as the example. My North Node is in Pisces. So ideally, I'm learning about my spirituality, spiritual self, spiritual gifts, etc. And as my North Node's now in Aquarius, how do I make that spiritual journey authentic to myself? What am I learning? Not what all my friends are doing, because, hey, that's what they like. It's what's true, what's speaking true to me. Same thing for you, reflecting. Are you learning the lessons that are authentic to your own life's purpose? Yes or no? And if it's yes, great. You're making progress. Are you able to speak your truths about your purpose in life? The shadow is that, hold on a second. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Oh, here we go. Is, again, Mercury gets mentally rigid, gets stuck in this rut, and it can be falling into this rut of other people's expectations and doing, everybody else is studying this, so I have to. Or you're acting out in rebellion just because you can, or just get a reaction from people. And either one of those pulls you away from your authentic purpose in life. And, has you living some other purpose for some other purpose for no real reason. You're just literally going through the motions. And at the same time, this is opposite the South Node in Leo. So how is the pointless drama of the past and how you self-sabotaged in the past? Reflect on that. So how is that and again, I'll use myself. I have Virgo, perfectionism. How am I holding myself back with perfectionism and living it out in pointless drama? And how is that undermining me learning my true purpose? Ideally, I'm aware of how I hold myself with these unrealistic expectations and how I play it out in the world and say, you know what, that's me shooting myself in the foot. Got to change that. So there we go. And then we have the new moon in Pisces at 22:39 Eastern time. So your mileage may vary depending on your time zone. And that's the moon and the sun being conjunct in Pisces. And in Pisces, ideally, the moon for me is kind of a healing journey. And so we're looking at emotional healing and what that does for yourself. So you're healing your core ego, your identity, and healing in Pisces, your spiritual nature. So this is a moment of healing and focus on connecting with your inner self and who you really are at heart. Everybody talks about the ego being a bad thing. There's something called a healthy ego. So ideally, you're healing this healthy ego and helping it get in contact with your spiritual self, your higher self, bringing in a deeper level of healing. And take time for contemplation, self-compassion during this. That's how you really find that deeper healing as well. The shadow here is numbing yourself to who you are at heart and living a fantasy and some false identity. And you're just and literally you're losing the vision for this time. Thursday. Here we go. Our super long transit is going to go from March 19th to April 6th. So we're going to be dealing with this for a few weeks. Saturn in Pisces, spiritual maturity. Just going to say it very simple that way. So spiritual maturity, spiritual growth, spiritual self-discipline, creating an interest. Sextile here, I'm saying, is going to be an interest in Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto, transformation, deep inner healing. And in Capricorn, Capricorn is doing that work. Capricorn, the sea goat, is very interesting because it's half seal, half goat. Seal, living in water, spirituality, inspiration, and turning into that goat, bringing that inspiration and that idea into reality. It's interesting that Capricorn's an earth sign, but it's taken what is higher, these grand ideas, these lofty ideals, these inspirations, and making them real. So how is your spiritual maturity helping you do the work of inner healing and inner transformation? Yeah. And the shadow. Saturn can fall into cynicism and a nihilistic attitude. That nihilistic attitude fits both Saturn and Pluto. So this can be a very dark time. Ideally, it's a very uplifting time. You're doing this work, and it's helping you helping you heal. The shadow here is falling into cynicism, falling into this fantasy that is just too hard, and you want to escape life because life stinks that bad, and that fuels a deeper wounding and feelings of loneliness and isolation, and nobody understands me, nobody can get in contact with me, nobody knows what I'm going through. So this can be a time of deep wounding. This desire to escape and live this empty fantasy can fuel a deeper wounding and a deeper what else did I have here? Yeah, nihilistic attitudes as well. Yeah, self-deception can push yourself towards loneliness or isolation, and self-deception can also create its own prison. The shadow, one of the terrible shadows of Capricorn is a self-made prison, and this be a place where you're really wounding yourself. And also on Thursday, we have Mercury station direct in Aquarius. Station direct means it's pausing before it goes forward. So this is a time of, what did I learn during the retrograde period? Did I learn to pay attention? Did I learn to see what was actually before me, listen to what was actually being said? Mercury is all your senses. Were you paying attention to the world around you? Were you learning to communicate and speak? Aquarius, your truths. Aquarius wants to deal with helping you develop an independent viewpoint. Were you paying attention to the world? What were you really seeing? How are you really interpreting it? And are you able to communicate your own truths? That's the lesson. Have you learned that? Have you clarified your values and recognized your own truths? The shadow here is, Mercury gets distracted and can sell itself out to the ideas of others or communicating what is meaningless. It can also be rebellious and contrarian for no reason. And in all of those, whether you're selling out or acting out, you can be seen as mentally rigid or defensive. People can see either one of those as being defensive responses. And instead of living your own truth, you're learning to live your own lies. Friday, we have Mars in Aquarius trining Jupiter in Gemini. It's the second transit to Jupiter here. And Mars in Aquarius is having the courage to be authentic and real. And how is that trine supporting the opportunity to learn and communicate? So having the courage to face your fears and be authentic and true to your individual self can help support your opportunity to learn and develop a healthy pride, help you also to inhabit your higher intellectual abilities, learning to grow, and also help you to communicate better. The shadow here is falling into fear, and whether that's anger or cowardice, and it becomes highly irrational. Aquarius, the shadow of Aquarius is really irrational, acting, like I say, acting or selling out. Either one of them is highly irrational. And instead of supporting this, undermines Jupiter in Aquarius and Gemini. And so instead of building up this knowledge, it's creating a crisis of confidence. And it's either overconfident or underconfident. It's a crisis of confidence in your ability to learn. So you're either thinking you can learn it all or can't learn it all. But that fear is just undermining, and I don't get it, but I have to put up this brave front to show that I do know what's going on. In reality, you have no clue what's going on. Or what else? This is what the notes were on. Yeah, my notes here on my cell phone. I should really take photos of these things. Falling into fear and giving the expectations of others slips into meaningless learning and settling for style over substance. You've got the correct answers, somebody else's correct answers, but not your own, and you know how to mouth the answer. You just don't know how you got it or where it even comes from. Saturday, we have the Sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Spotlight on your spirituality and being present. The great lesson of Neptune in Pisces. Don't just do something, be there. The great book by Ram Dass, Be Here, Be Now. So your spotlight is on your spirituality, being present and in this moment. And I'm talking about spirituality, not religion. Spirituality is your connection to the divine. Religion is man's rules, and usually somebody else is at that. So if you're falling into religion, that's you living somebody else's rules, and it's not going to serve you. You're falling into this idle fantasy and self-deception. And it's a way of escaping life or trying to numb yourself to the emptiness of it all. So ideally, the ideal is that you're learning about your own spirituality and it's helping to lift you up. The shadow is the ego gets out of control. It just wants to escape and numb the pain, and it sells it, and it just follows. It looks like, what's the easy way out here? And it falls into religion and rules, or it could deny its spirituality at all, or deny its spirituality completely. So, fall into atheism, I'm not sure, or agnosticism, I'm not sure, a lot of doubt, or atheism, absolute denial of the spiritual self. And on Saturday, we have the moon entering an Aries, not Aquarius. God, that was really in the week. We have Aries, 2 A's this week. Yay. So emotionally, you're up for a challenge, and you're ready to have a little courage. You're up for a challenge. You're ready to face the challenges of the weekend, whatever they may be. So it's time to feel brave and courageous. You got some energy to get up and do, and maybe tackle some challenges at home. Expect to face challenges in competition. Know that you have what it takes to meet whatever it is that rises up successfully. So it's a time of emotional courage. The shadow here is fear, and that can be anger, that can be cowardice. Very similar to Mars in that respect. But it falls into fear, can come out as wild rage or cowardice, the desire to hide away. Either one of them will fuel defeat. And Sunday, this is in the afternoon, the moon enters Taurus. So the second half of Sunday, you want to just chill out and take a break. Emotionally, you're ready for some peace and for some calm and for some time away and for some rest. And look for moments of peace and quiet. The shadow here is being emotionally stubborn or forceful, and it can leave you feeling exhausted, tired, and drained. And that's where we end the week. So if you like this, do follow me on Facebook, Instagram. You're watching this on YouTube, which is where it's posted right now. Or really should consider getting it, posting someplace else. But these three companies are making billions of dollars off your data, and you're not getting anything. Digital Soul Space is another place where I post. I call it the spiritual safe spot of the internet. It's hosted on Mighty Networks. You control your data, what they have access to, and how the companies can use it. Mighty Network is very big on privacy. And I do astrology on there, but there is, hear me say countless times, there's tarot, oracle cards, crystals, incense, different faith traditions, you name it, it's there. Really interesting. And we got 4 great moderators. There's a bully free. It's pretty much a bully free zone. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, or actually, a couple months ago, we actually had somebody who was, hey, got a message from admin saying, hey, what you're posting is inappropriate. So it's a bully free zone. If they think that somebody's not operating appropriately, they pull them aside, they talk to them, and we've had people removed from the board because they were garbage accounts. So it's a great place. It's a safe space. There's a free version and a paid version. Free version gets you limited access to just a couple of pieces of the site. Paid gets you the full Monty, and there's a lot of great content down there. Whoops. No, I didn't want to open that up. I close this out. There we go. There we go. And I do readings, and I have some packages. Quick 6, if you want to know how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal, quick 6. I give you 6 key points, 6 essential points off of your chart. It's just a recording that you get. Voila. And if you want a full birth chart reading or natal chart reading, in evolutionary astrology, your birth chart is your birth contract. It's a map of the lessons you came here to learn. So it's not who you are, it's who you came here to become. Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. That's what your birth chart really is. This is your end-all goal in life. To do that, I also offer what's called a karmic or a past life reading. If you're a one and done, this is a special lesson you came to learn. But if you believe in past lives, in a past life, something happened that created some negative karma. I can tell you basically who you were, what that bad karma was, how it was created, how you may be experiencing it in this life, and more importantly, how do you heal it? Because you're re-experiencing it so you can heal it. And I do horoscopes. That's why people have astrology. And I do 1 year, which is 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month, either first of the month or last of the month, or new moon to new moon. Sorry, it's still not over this daylight savings. Oh, Kit's looking for H2O. So depending on what you want to do with the 1 month, it can be the first to the end of the month, or it can be new moon to new moon, your choice. And I do have packages that combine these readings at various levels. Oh, come on. There we go. So thank you very much. Do like and follow me. Do share the video. And if you go to my website, you get a pop-up. Just enter your email address. It's a once-a-week newsletter that gets you a summary of all this and first access. So do like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter. Remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. I really like dyslexia. I've been struggling with it lately too. So there you go. Have the best week possible. I apologize for these coming out on Monday. My goal is to get them back to Sunday afternoon, early evening. Thank you very much. Have the best week possible.